Kindness is often celebrated as one of the most important virtues, and rightly so. Acts of generosity, compassion, and understanding can transform relationships, communities, and even entire societies. But what happens when kindness is misunderstood or misapplied? When we confuse being kind with being overly accommodating or unable to set boundaries, we risk undermining not only our own well-being, but also the very relationships we aim to nurture. As the Stoics teach us, true virtue lies in balance, in aligning kindness with strength, wisdom, and self-respect. This modern application of Stoicism explores how to reconcile kindness with the firm boundaries necessary for a flourishing life. Number 1. Kindness. Without strength is not virtue. Imagine a colleague who consistently asks for help with their workload, knowing you'll say yes. Initially, you agree because you value kindness and want to be supportive, but over time, their reliance becomes a burden. Deadlines pile up, and your stress grows. Instead of mutual respect, the dynamic tilts into imbalance. This is where the wisdom of Epictetus provides clarity. It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them. Your judgment, that kindness means endless availability, is the root issue here. True kindness isn't weakness. Strength is required to decide when to help and when to step back. Strength enables you to say no in a way that respects both yourself and the other person. By doing so, you encourage their growth instead of fostering dependency. Consider the consequences of failing to set boundaries. Over time, resentment builds, and your ability to genuinely help diminishes. This not only affects your mental and emotional well-being, but also erodes the quality of your relationships. The kindness you initially intended turns into frustration, which undermines its original purpose. Setting boundaries does not make you unkind. It demonstrates courage and wisdom. A modern Stoic would approach this scenario by calmly and respectfully addressing the situation. I value helping you, but I'm currently at capacity. Let's find a solution that works for both of us. This response reflects both kindness and strength, a balance crucial for living virtuously. It also opens the door for others to take responsibility for their own actions, fostering growth and mutual respect. Ultimately, kindness without strength is incomplete. By cultivating the courage to set limits, you not only protect yourself, but also ensure that your acts of kindness are meaningful and sustainable. This balance is what transforms kindness from a mere gesture into a true virtue. Number 2. The art of saying no without guilt. In today's culture of constant connectivity, it's easy to feel obligated to say yes to every invitation, favor, or opportunity. Whether it's attending social events or taking on extra responsibilities at work, many of us struggle with saying no. We fear disappointing others or being perceived as selfish. Yet Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are dominated by guilt and obligation, your life becomes shaped by these feelings. A modern Stoic approach reframes saying no as an act of self-care. By declining requests that drain your energy or detract from your priorities, you create space for what truly matters. This doesn't mean you abandon kindness, it means you practice it with intention. For instance, if a friend asks for a favor during a particularly stressful time, you might say, "I really want to help, but I'm overwhelmed right now. Let's revisit this next week." Such a response is thoughtful and honest. It acknowledges the other person's need while honoring your own limits. The key lies in recognizing that guilt often stems from misplaced priorities rather than genuine obligation. By focusing on what is within your control, your decisions and actions, you can say no without guilt, embodying kindness in a way that aligns with your values. Moreover, learning to say no without guilt requires a shift in perspective. Instead of viewing no as a rejection, see it as a redirection. When you decline something that doesn't align with your goals or capacity, you are saying yes to something else, your health, priorities, or commitments. This reframing helps you approach boundaries with confidence rather than hesitation. The ability to say no also strengthens your relationships. It sets clear expectations and prevents misunderstandings. When people know you will only say yes when you genuinely can, your agreements carry more weight. This builds trust and respect over time, deepening the connections you value most. By embracing the art of saying no, you embody the Stoic principle of living in alignment with reason and virtue. You learn to navigate life with clarity, ensuring that your kindness is both intentional and sustainable. Number 3. Empathy does not require endurance of harm. Kindness often involves empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. While empathy is a powerful tool for connection, it can also lead to overextension. Imagine a situation where a close friend repeatedly unloads their problems onto you without considering your emotional capacity. While listening to them initially feels like an act of kindness, over time, it becomes draining and harmful. Marcus Aurelius's words offer guidance. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Your estimate, that empathy requires you to endure harm, needs re-evaluation. True empathy doesn't mean sacrificing your well-being. Instead, it involves offering support within your limits. Consider how this might look in practice. A modern Stoic could approach the situation by gently addressing the issue. I care deeply about what you're going through, but I also need to ensure I'm taking care of my own mental health. Let's find other resources that can support you too. This response is empathetic but firm. It prioritizes mutual respect and ensures that kindness does not come at the cost of personal harm. Setting boundaries in empathetic relationships is not about abandoning those in need. It's about preserving your ability to offer meaningful support. When you protect your energy and mental health, you can show up more fully for others when it truly matters. This approach also encourages others to seek diverse sources of support, fostering resilience and independence. Empathy paired with strength creates relationships that are both supportive and sustainable. Without boundaries, empathy can lead to burnout, resentment, or even the erosion of the relationship itself. But when practiced with intention, empathy becomes a tool for connection that uplifts both parties. And by setting limits on how much emotional labor you can provide, you honor the Stoic principle of living in harmony with reason and virtue. You demonstrate that true kindness involves not only understanding others, but also respecting yourself. This balance ensures that your empathy remains a source of strength rather than a drain, allowing you to build relationships grounded in mutual respect and care. Number 4. How to balance kindness with self-respect. In our eagerness to be kind, we often forget that kindness should not come at the cost of self-respect. Imagine you're part of a team project, and a colleague repeatedly fails to meet deadlines, knowing you'll step in to fix their mistakes. You accommodate them at first, believing it's the kind thing to do. But as time goes on, your frustration builds. You're exhausted, your work suffers, and the dynamic becomes unhealthy. The Stoic Epictetus warns, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. This simple yet profound reminder encourages us to live our values instead of merely professing them. Being kind doesn't mean sacrificing self-respect or tolerating disrespect from others. By embodying kindness balanced with self-respect, you model behavior that others can follow. Kindness with accountability, generosity with boundaries. Balancing kindness and self-respect involves understanding the difference between helpfulness and enabling. When you continually compensate for someone else's irresponsibility, you're not being kind. You're allowing a pattern that harms both of you. Instead, a modern Stoic approach might be to address the issue directly but constructively. I've noticed that meeting deadlines has been a challenge. I'm happy to support you, but I need you to take the lead on your responsibilities. This response is rooted in kindness. You're offering support on your responsibilities, but it's also grounded in self-respect. You're asserting your boundaries and ensuring your time and energy are valued. Such actions are not only good for you, but also encourage the other person to grow and take responsibility for their actions. Balancing kindness with self-respect doesn't mean you stop being kind. It means your kindness becomes intentional and sustainable. It's about recognizing your worth and ensuring that your actions align with your values. This balance fosters healthier relationships and prevents the resentment and exhaustion that can arise from overextending yourself. As Epictetus reminds us, embodying our philosophy means living with both kindness and self-respect in harmony. By doing so, we not only uphold our values, but also create an environment where others are inspired to do the same. Number 5. Kindness is a two-way street. Many of us are taught that kindness means giving without expecting anything in return. While this altruistic notion has merit, it's important to recognize that kindness thrives in reciprocity. When kindness flows only in one direction, it can lead to imbalance and exploitation. As Marcus Aurelius advises, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. This wisdom reminds us to practice generosity while maintaining discernment. Imagine a friendship where you're always the one reaching out, offering support, and making plans. Over time, you begin to feel unappreciated and taken for granted. Stoic philosophy teaches that relationships are partnerships. For kindness to be meaningful, it must be a mutual exchange that enriches both parties. A modern Stoic approach to such a situation might involve reflecting on the dynamic and addressing it with honesty. I value our friendship and enjoy supporting you, but I've noticed I'm often the one initiating. It would mean a lot to me if we could find more balance. This statement is kind but assertive, opening the door to a healthier, more reciprocal relationship. Kindness as a two-way street also applies to how we treat ourselves. When we give endlessly to others without allowing ourselves to receive, whether it's help, appreciation, or rest, we deplete our own resources. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of maintaining inner equilibrium. By setting boundaries and fostering mutuality, we ensure that our kindness is not only genuine, but also sustainable. Ultimately, kindness is most powerful when it is shared. By embodying the Stoic principle of tolerance balanced with self-discipline, we create relationships built on mutual respect and growth. This reciprocity doesn't diminish kindness, it amplifies it. Number 6. Why overextending yourself is not noble. Society often praises those who go above and beyond, but there's a fine line between generosity and overextension. The Stoic Seneca cautions, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." When we spread ourselves too thin, we not only undermine our effectiveness, but also risk losing sight of our priorities. Consider a scenario where you're juggling work commitments, family obligations, and a favor for a friend. You've said yes to everything, believing it's the noble thing to do. But as the demands pile up, your stress increases and your ability to meet each responsibility diminishes. Instead of feeling noble, you feel overwhelmed and resentful. The modern Stoic recognizes that overextending oneself is not a virtue, but a disservice to yourself and to others. Saying yes to everything often leads to doing nothing well. Instead, a Stoic approach involves prioritizing and setting limits. I'd love to help, but my plate is full right now. Let's find another way to address this. By saying no when necessary, you preserve your energy for what truly matters. This doesn't mean you stop being generous. It means your generosity becomes focused and impactful. You're better able to show up fully for the commitments that align with your values and capabilities. Overextending yourself also undermines your ability to live virtuously. When you're constantly rushing from one obligation to the next, you leave little room for reflection, growth, or meaningful connections. Stoicism teaches us to act with intention, ensuring that our efforts are both purposeful and aligned with our principles. In a world that often equates busyness with worth, the Stoic perspective reminds us to prioritize wisely. By doing less but doing it well, We honor both ourselves and those we aim to help. Number 7. Boundaries are the backbone of healthy relationships. Relationships thrive on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. But without boundaries, these elements can quickly erode. The Stoic Seneca advises, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. This wisdom highlights the importance of relationships that uplift and strengthen both parties. Imagine a relationship where one person continually oversteps your boundaries, whether it's a friend who demands too much of your time or a partner who dismisses your needs. Without clear boundaries, the relationship becomes unbalanced, leading to frustration and dissatisfaction. A modern Stoic approach involves setting boundaries as an act of kindness and respect, both for yourself and the other person. For example, you might say, I value our time together, but I need to ensure I'm also prioritizing other areas of my life. Let's find a balance that works for both of us. This statement is honest and respectful, fostering a healthier dynamic. Boundaries also serve as a form of self-care. They protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being, ensuring that you can engage in relationships with intention and presence. Without boundaries, you risk burnout, resentment, and a loss of authenticity. Healthy boundaries don't create distance. They create clarity. They define what is acceptable and what isn't, allowing relationships to grow on a foundation of mutual respect. As Seneca suggests, surrounding yourself with people who respect your boundaries and share your values leads to relationships that are both enriching and enduring. By setting boundaries, you embody the Stoic principles of wisdom and self-discipline. You ensure that your relationships are not only kind, but also meaningful and sustainable, creating a space where both you and others can thrive. Number 8. The role of wisdom in setting boundaries. Wisdom is one of the central virtues in Stoicism, and it plays a crucial role in determining when and how to set boundaries. Epictetus reminds us, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters, so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. This principle is essential when navigating the delicate balance of kindness and limits. Consider a situation where a friend frequently asks you to mediate their personal conflicts. You're empathetic and want to help, but these repeated requests begin to weigh on you emotionally and detract from your own priorities. A wise modern Stoic would pause to reflect on what lies within their control. You can't resolve the friend's conflicts for them, but you can control how you respond. By applying wisdom, you recognize that true kindness doesn't mean always saying yes. Instead, it involves discerning when your involvement is genuinely helpful versus when it's enabling a pattern. A possible response might be, I care about you and your well-being, but I'm not in a position to mediate. I encourage you to seek guidance from someone more equipped to help. This response reflects wisdom. You've acted with empathy while respecting your own limits. Wisdom also helps you evaluate the broader impact of your actions. When you overcommit or fail to set boundaries, you may unintentionally diminish the quality of your kindness. By contrast, wise boundary setting ensures that your efforts are sustainable and meaningful. It allows you to reserve your energy for situations where you can genuinely make a difference. In essence, wisdom empowers you to align your actions with your values. It ensures that your kindness is thoughtful and intentional, not impulsive or coerced. By using wisdom to guide your boundaries, you create a life that reflects both compassion and reason, a hallmark of the Stoic approach to living well. Number 9. Kindness is stronger with limits. Kindness without limits often leads to unintended consequences, exhaustion, resentment, or even enabling harmful behavior. Marcus Aurelius's reminder is apt here. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors, unless with a view to some mutual benefit. This wisdom teaches us that kindness is most effective when it is purposeful and reciprocal. Imagine a colleague who constantly seeks your input on tasks they're fully capable of handling. Initially, you offer your help out of kindness, but over time, their reliance grows. Instead of fostering their growth, your unchecked generosity creates dependence. In this scenario, setting limits doesn't diminish your kindness, it strengthens it. A modern Stoic response might involve encouraging self-sufficiency. I'm happy to help occasionally, but I believe you're more than capable of handling this on your own. Let me know how it goes. This approach reinforces their ability to take ownership while preserving your time and energy. And boundaries also ensure that your kindness doesn't come at the expense of your well-being. When you spread yourself too thin, you risk burnout, which ultimately undermines your ability to be kind to anyone. By setting limits, you protect your capacity to give in meaningful ways. Kindness with boundaries is not selfish, it's strategic. It ensures that your generosity uplifts others without depleting yourself. This balance allows you to embody the Stoic ideal of living with intention, where your actions are guided by reason and virtue. In doing so, your kindness becomes not only stronger, but also enduring. Number 10. Your responsibility to yourself, protecting inner peace. Setting boundaries is not just about protecting your time or energy. It's also about safeguarding your inner peace. Marcus Aurelius's timeless advice captures this perfectly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This principle highlights the importance of maintaining control over your thoughts and emotions, even when faced with external demands. Consider a family member who frequently criticizes your choices, despite your best efforts to explain your perspective. Their comments leave you feeling drained and frustrated, but Stoicism teaches us that their words are external events. What matters is how you choose to respond. A modern Stoic approach might involve setting boundaries to preserve your peace. I respect your opinion, but I've made my decision. I'd appreciate if we could focus on other topics moving forward. This response is calm and respectful, yet it firmly establishes a boundary that protects your emotional well-being. Protecting your inner peace also means being mindful of where you direct your attention. When you allow external pressures to dictate your actions, you relinquish control over your mind. By setting boundaries, you reclaim this control and create a space where you can reflect, grow, and live according to your values. Boundaries are an essential tool for cultivating resilience and maintaining harmony within yourself. They allow you to navigate challenges with grace and focus on what truly matters. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the strength to protect your peace lies within you. By exercising this strength, you not only honor yourself, but also ensure that your kindness and energy are preserved for the moments that truly count. Kindness is a powerful virtue, but when it's misapplied or unchecked, it can lead to imbalance, resentment, and even harm. The Stoics teach us that true kindness is not about endless self-sacrifice. It's about aligning our actions with reason, virtue, and wisdom. By setting boundaries, we ensure that our kindness is meaningful, sustainable, and rooted in mutual respect. Through the lessons of Stoicism, we learn that boundaries are not barriers, but bridges, tools that foster healthier relationships, protect our inner peace, and enhance our capacity to give. Whether it's saying no without guilt, balancing kindness with self-respect, or using wisdom to guide our actions, boundaries allow us to embody kindness in its truest form. In a world that often confuses kindness with compliance, the Stoic approach offers a refreshing perspective. By cultivating boundaries, we not only honor ourselves, but also create an environment where kindness can thrive. In doing so, we live more intentionally, more virtuously, and more in harmony with the principles of a flourishing life. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it to spread the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future videos on Stoic living and personal growth. Thank you for watching, and I wish you strength on your journey.